All right, it's a beautiful day to you, our lovely and smart real estate investors, wherever you're watching us across the world. Today is going to be our first co-hosting edition of Property Matters, and right here is my beautiful wife, Mrs. Gloria. Can you just please say hello to our viewers?
Hello, everyone.
Also, on today we are going to be co-hosting today's show, and we're going to be talking extensively on how we got our first property as a family. And today's show is basically to open our real estate investor to different dimensions of possibilities, and of course, you'll be sharing our story. And in case you're coming across this video for the first time, do well to subscribe, turn on the notification bell. Property Matter is a real estate YouTube talk show where we talk everything you need to know about real estate investment. Once again, welcome to the show. Subscribe, and I'll see you immediately after this short commercial. All right, so for some of our real estate investors, or perhaps potential real estate investors, who obviously might be thinking that the Lagos real estate market is way, way expensive and it's beyond their reach. So, on today's episode, Mrs. Adejare, my wife, is here, and she's going to be sharing some of our experience. And I believe you should be able to pick one or two, important information concerning it. So, Miss Gloria, so talk to us. How did you start your own real estate investment journey?
Good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are watching it from. I'm Adejare Ademola, and it's an honor to be on this show today. Thank you so much, dear, for this privilege. Okay, driving into property, I would say my dad is my inspiration. My late father is my inspiration. Growing up as a young girl, we never lived in a rented apartment, and we have numbers of tenants that we grew up together. And not just that, my dad has an estate in the heart of Ogba in his name, and not just that alone. I remember growing up, after we have grew in that environment for a month, for a while, my dad decided to take it up and change locations again. And before we know, he has built another house in another environment, and we are relocated there. It doesn't just end there. He keeps investing. He keep on investing. And one thing that attracts me, that I so much admire about my dad, is that even his tenants, if you are a tenant and you don't have landed property, you must be wrong. Definitely, there is something you are doing that is not just right. As a tenant to the landlord, one thing I've seen him does is that he will coordinate his tenants. They go for this agile contribution, and at the end of everything, they get their landed property. He monitored them, he mentored them to building those properties, and with joy and gladness, they relocate from that house to become their own landlord. So if you are living with us and you are a tenant and you still remain a tenant when you leave, then it means there is something you are doing that is not just right. That is not just right. And I've also seen that invest in landed property, using it for farm. Because I remember during corn season, we don't use our money to buy corn. We go to the farm, he brings them in vegetables and so on. And if I would remind you that I traveled to E for last 2 years, and I was amazed by what I saw, because that place that we call the village or whatsoever that wasn't civilized, underdeveloped area, has become a sought after. They now have a train station, railway station there. There is now a good access road and so on in that same. And I was that, is this not the same place that they will bring us in? And it was just a bushy area, and we just see it as that is farm. But today it is no longer the same place again. It's no longer that underdeveloped area that we actually know when we are growing up. It's now developed, and I would say this is one of my motivation. And my dad really helped me to have this mentality that even as young girl, then if you ask me what do you think I can do for you, or if you have your first 1 million naira, what will you do with it? I'll always tell you, I will going to buy a landed property. And they'll be like, what is the inspiration behind this landed property? But one thing I've learned through my dad is that land no dey depreciate, e dey always appreciate. So even when we don't have food to eat, all those investments he has done on land keep bringing food on the table. So that is one thing I admire about my dad.
That's inspiring, very, very inspiring. Of course, so my own story too. My father, my great grandfather, my grandmother, they were also, real estate investors, and I think that makes us even. So we share inspiration from, from our relative, more importantly, our parents. Now let's quickly go into the story. How did you start your own real estate investment? Of course, you own land now, as a family, and I believe you have your own personal property. So, how did you start? That investment. How was it like?
Okay, joining into becoming a landlady. Firstly, as I said earlier, that my dad was my inspiration. I remember that very day after we got married. I didn't even know I'm going to get married to someone into properties and the likes. And when we got married, he was indisposed at that moment, so he actually asked me to represent him, do some job. And after the job was well done, I remember he gave me how much? The 150,000 naira,
Yeah.
just to say thank you
Oh, you do well done.
for a job well done. And it was my first tax ever, and I was sincerely happy. I really appreciate it. With what I got from my coconut business, I was able to put them together and completely 200,000 naira. And there was a plot of land then at Ekpe. The plot of land was just 700,000 naira, and the initial deposit was 150,000 naira. This was how I keyed into it, and I bought the property, just a plot. But today, that same property I see of that same
Wow.
property is now selling for close to 2 million naira now.
Wow.
And I'm always happy. Like, then I just bought it, like I don't want to spend this money. I want to have a story to share whenever I remember this day. So I decided to invest that money into that landed property. Until date, I never regretted doing that. I'm always happy to do that. And I'm glad I took that step that very day.
Wow, that is inspiring. Wow, that is inspiring. One thing about investing in Lagos basically is that I want people to understand that it is not until you have the entire money. We have
Exactly.
been preaching that consistently, and then people still have this notion that that money has to be big, has to be big. Now, to somebody watching us now, probably because most of our viewers are in diaspora, some are also in Nigeria, and they might be thinking, okay, you should be an inspiration for them. Your father was a big time real estate investor, because I believe he left you some properties too. You didn't mention that. How you are earning rent. Of course, she's a landlady. So in case you might be looking at her, she has a property. She's a landlady, and where she's earning rent. And of course, she also has her own landed property. And of course, you bought a land for our daughter. You didn't mention that. Can you?
Okay, talking about my daughter, my parent, as I said, my mom left me with property, likewise my dad. So it's from two different sources I got my incomes from. And apart from that, I want to build a wealth for my children whereby they are growing into it. I remember when we wanted to get married, one thing we said was that there is a plan for our children, whereby we plan their future, their education, everything, that we don't need to start looking for school fee when it's time for us to pay and the likes. And as a mother, especially when you have a first child, people gift you a lot. You receive gifts a lot, and
Exactly.
most times I've seen parents spend those money. They use it. That's why I don't live an extravagant life. I actually cut my clothes according to the yards I have, not according to my size now. So one thing I did was that when I gave birth to her, I actually, all the incomes that were given to us during the course of the naming, I saved it towards her first year birthday. So when she clocked 3 months, I took her to the bank. I opened an account for her.
Wow.
I transferred those money into her account. So as she was growing into 1 year, every gift that was given, every kobo that was given, I ensured that I transferred those money into her account. And when the amount in the account was up to a substantial amount, I decided to invest it on something that even as she's growing, our property is also growing with her. Because things happen that you don't even plan for. But I believe that when there are some laid down plans on ground, you'll be able to avoid some things. So that is the major thing. So I was able to get this property for her. I was able to get her a landed property based on the gift people gave her. Our first year birthday, people gave her money. They couldn't come. We are sorry. So they gave us cash gift. So I have to transfer our account. Some people say, oh, it's your first Christmas. Hey, this is my baby. Help me give my babies to eat this. And I was with that. I told the father, we are not spending this money. I will not spend it. And this is what we want to do for her. And God help us. We are able to get a landed property for her. Everything documented. And now, even our property was in Ekpe, and sincerely, it's actually and as she's growing, the property also is growing with her. Yes, it's appreciating.
Wow, this is inspiring. Very, very inspiring. And when you're watching us across the world, we want you to understand that we just don't come online. We do what we say. We are also property investors. We believe in real estate investment.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be a TikTok too, but I wanted her to talk. Of course, in case you're meeting her, her name is Mrs. Gloria Adejare, the founder of Goal Foundation. I don't want us to deviate, but in 2 minutes, tell us about your foundation in 2 minutes.
Okay, as I said, I'm Gloria Adejare, and I am the founder of Gloria Adejare Foundation. Our vision is two-sided. We give education to those who are interested, and we give skills to children who need to be skillful. And
sorry to interrupt you. When you talk about children, what kind of children? Children on the street or children of the rich?
Oh, okay. We are talking about children who are less privileged. We are talking about the homeless, the orphans, and the helpless. And one major thing we do at the foundation is that we pick them up, we mentor them, and by the grace of God, we let God use us to give them a future. In a nutshell, we help them discover themselves and live in their God-given purpose.
Wow, that's inspiring. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, so on this show, Miss Gloria has actually talked extensively on this. But for some of our real estate investors who might be watching us, she's also a seasoned real estate professional, and she also runs a foundation as well. And when we talk about property investment, from what she has said, my father used to own properties. My grandfather also used to own properties. But because of the fact that we used to have many relatives, and there were a lot of trouble, and I just vouched that I'm not going to wait for my father's property or my grandfather's property. I had that notion that I can own my own property. So it's the journey was very, very tough. And there's this kind of thing that happened. Sure, you understand, when you are saving towards that land. Have you experienced that kind of thing before, that when you're about to make payments, you notice a relative somewhere?
When it comes to that can be overemphasized or underrated. The fact is that when you have a focus or you have a target towards something, there will always be reasons, 1 million reasons not to go ahead with it. But it takes determination and resilience for you to achieve that goal. Yes, to get it done. When I wanted to buy my daughter's landed property, there are reasons why I shouldn't buy at that moment. I could have said, oh, moreover, she's just still young. I can later buy it when she's 5 years old. It's still all na investment. I can buy when she's 10 years old. But I decided to do it then because I've said, okay, this is what I'm using this money for. I'm not diverting it. Because that is when your family, somebody will swallow shovel. They will have reasons that something has happened.
Exactly.
Different reasons. Some people just call you, but you just have to be, you have to be focused, you have to be intentional about it. Let me use that word, intentionality. Exactly. Yes, you have to be intentional about it when it comes to investment. Because let me now shock you. Those people that will call you for urgent 2K, that made you divert your own money, you will later hear that they just finished building their own house. It's something that happened to us. Like, exactly. I just completed my project. They'll be like, how now?
Now you they bill us all the time.
But now you they collect on their 2K now. How come you finish your project? So I would like to tell you that those who just 2K at times don't think that they're actually using it for food.
They are not broke.
Yes. So you have to be intentional when it comes to investing in real estate. You have to be intentional about it. That is all I have to say for now.
All right. So to our investors watching abroad, there is this notion that many people have come to this conclusion that they are not coming to Nigeria and they don't need to invest. You're making a big mistake. The Nigerian real estate market is evolving. The pricing has gone beyond every reasonable means, and the best time to invest is now. The best time to take advantage of the industry is now. So don't say my children are not coming to Nigeria, I don't want to have anything. What if this country transforms to become the leading economy, maybe 2030 or 2050? you will be kicking yourself hard that you had the opportunity, to buy properties. Okay, so the mistake anybody can be making now is saying, I don't want to have anything to do with Nigeria. But what if something happens in Nigeria and you have a business to come and do here? So will you now be, renting, or perhaps, paying an hotel fee in a place where you have the opportunity to become a landlord? Take inspiration from what my wife have done. Take inspiration from what we are doing. Okay, that doesn't mean that if we have, opportunities to travel, go for relaxation and come back. But the most important thing, basically, is that spread your investment. Don't put your investment. If you have properties in Europe, wonderful. If you have property in America, wonderful. Ensure you have your properties at strategic location, and more importantly, don't ignore your homeland, which is Africa. Invest, and of course, so that you can have, better story, and more importantly, a good retirement plan. Thank you very much, my wife, for honoring my invitation. And in case you want to know more about our foundation, just let me know. I will talk to because I'll give her another opportunity to talk more about that. Until we come your way again in another exciting episode of Property Matters. Thank you for viewing. See you in my next video. Bye for now.
Thank you for having me. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.